I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the City Council, February 19th. Thank you for coming. And we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Adam Nick, please.
Please rise. May I sing our flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Attorney, is there any closed session to report?
Yes, Mayor. With regard to item number 3, there's some housekeeping and attention to some ethical disclosures. We want to note for the record that with regard to item number 3, Mr. Nick recused himself from participation in that discussion, and the council authorized the city manager to execute an agreement for legal services with a law firm to substitute in for me and Best and Krieger in that matter. There are some items pending in that contract that need to be discussed with that firm, and once they are, it will become a public record and subject to disclosure.
Thank you. Presentations? There are none. Okay, report from the El Toro Student Liaison.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. February is a busy month for us here at El Toro. Upon returning from our 5-day weekend and still recovering from our fantastic winter formal, a select group of Charger men are working hard daily and gearing up for the much-anticipated event, Mr. Charger, which will be taking place in Charger Hall on March 1st. In addition, today was our first meeting for male cheer, which drew in a huge crowd of our senior guys, so we are expecting quite an impressive, hilarious performance from our male cheer team this year. Also coming up, we have over 80 hyped-up teams preparing for our epic annual dodgeball tournament beginning next Tuesday, February 26th. Our winter sports teams have continued to excel in their CIF tournaments. Girls water polo is now ranked 3rd in their CIF division, boys soccer is ranked 2nd in the county and 2nd in CIF Division 1, and boys basketball is ranked 1st in their division and will be battling it out at their away game in Diamond Bar tonight to hold their position in league. Good luck, El Toro Winter Sports, and as always, go Chargers.
Go Chargers. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll be taking public comments. Members of the public may address the City Council regarding any item within the subject matter of the City Council. No action may be taken on items not listed on the agenda unless authorized by law. Comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person and overall time limit of 30. Do we have any public comments?
Yes, Pastor Leon Clark.
Good evening, Mayor, the Honorable Mayor Volz, and the Honorable City Council members. My name is Leon Clark, and I'm here representing the Orange County Heritage Council. We are a voluntary organization which has the mission to present the Black History Parade and Culture Fair here in Orange County. Our theme is the legacy never ends. New vines grow from strong roots, cultivated by excellence in arts, athletics, economics, education, services, health, and community involvement. The components of the event are a parade including community groups, schools, businesses, and elected officials. The Culture Fair includes a youth village, a history walk, a health village, entertainment, food, and vendor booth offering information and services. We are so appreciative of your loaning us one of your Mayor Pro Tem to participate in our parade, and she represented you very well last year as a marshal and this year as a marshal. And I have brought a certificate to thank her for her support and to thank you for loaning her to us for the parade. I hope that you will be excited to join us again next year.
Thank you. Okay. My mayor wants a picture of it. He's a picture person. Remember, give me the music.
So you want me to hum? Is that it?
so very much. It's an honor to do it. And if I'm asked, I'll be back next year.
Okay, consider yourself officially asked.
Take care of things early.
And now we're on the item number 4, consent calendar, warrant registry. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and are enacted by one vote, and there will be no separation discussion on these items unless member of the City Council, public, or staff requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to pull any item from the warrant?
We've had no requests.
Colleagues? Okay. Any motion?
So moved.
Second. Aye.
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 Okay, moving on to the consent calendar, items number 5 through 7. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be acted by one vote. There is no need to discuss these items unless member of council or the public staff request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate item. Madam Clerk, have we had any requests to pull any item?
No, Your Honor.
Colleagues?
So moved.
Aye.
Aye.
That takes us to public hearings. Madam Clerk?
Agenda Item 8, introduction of an ordinance amending the zoning code provisions related to emergency shelters and transitional and supportive housing, submitted by the Director of Development Services.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, prior to opening the hearing to the public, taking any testimony, the staff would like to present a short report as background to this item, so I would defer that to Ms. Ackerman.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. In 2007, the state legislature passed a law commonly known as SB 2, which requires cities to address emergency shelters and transitional and supportive housing in local zoning codes. The city's housing element, which was certified by the state in 2010, included programs which committed the city to update the municipal code to be consistent with SB 2. Specifically, the legislation requires city to do the following 3 things. 1, identify at least one zoning district where emergency shelters are permitted without discretionary approval. 2, to identify objective development and management standards for shelters. And 3, to treat transitional and supportive housing as a residential use. The industrial zoning district was identified as the most appropriate location to allow emergency shelters serving 10 or fewer persons. This was based on the location of bus routes, employment centers, the inclusion of appropriately sized structures, and an estimate of the city's homeless population. The proposed standards have been drafted to place reasonable restrictions on emergency shelters to ensure that they are operated safely and compatibly with the surrounding uses. The Planning Commission reviewed this item on January 24th and adopted a resolution recommending that the City Council approve this ordinance. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the staff has nothing further to add at this time before you would open up to the public for anybody who wishes to testify for or against the item.
At this time, is there any request from the public to speak on this item?
We've had no requests.
Colleagues? I'll entertain a motion.
I just one question. I didn't know, are you going to close the public hearing?
Close it.
Yeah.
Open and close the
Well,
public hearing.
okay. Well, we're going to bring it back because you have something to say on this, don't you? No.
Right, it's been answered.
Okay. All right. Then I'll close public hearing on this item.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney, I just had a question. I noticed the 300-foot separation between. I don't know, is within, obviously, this is all being driven by state law. Is there any sort of parameters or guidelines or case law with regards to this distance separation issue?
There is a statutory parameter. Ms. Ackerman was working on looking that up this afternoon. If we could turn to her, I think she's got that.
Yes, that's correct. You can't have a spacing requirement greater than 300 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so
That's why I waived it.
300 feet is the maximum?
It's the maximum.
That is correct.
Now, now this update to city ordinances, have they been done throughout the South County? Are we just,
I believe, I defer to Ms. Ackerman, who's in the research, but I believe most of the cities in South County have taken action already.
That's correct. That's correct. Most of the cities, there may be one or two that haven't, but we've looked at the surrounding cities, and our ordinance is very similar to those cities.
You're entertaining a motion.
at this time?
Peter?
Yeah, I take it. A motion?
Entertaining a motion.
I always have a hard time with state mandates.
Okay, I'll make the motion against the state mandate, which I would like for them to give us the 300 foot as a base and not as the max. But since that is what it is, and it is state mandated, dated, without funds too. Remember that part, Peter. I'm going to make a motion. I'll so move.
I'll second that.
Oh, good.
And I'll call the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Reluctantly.
It takes Peter out of that. Mandates.
Agenda item 9, discussion and ordinance establishing prima facie speed limits within the city of Lake Forest, submitted by the Director of Public Works, City Engineer.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'll defer to Mr. Wheeler for a brief presentation.
Good evening. Thank you. Tonight, staff is recommending that the City Council introduce an ordinance establishing the prima facie speed limits on certain streets throughout the city of Lake Forest. This is in accordance with the California Vehicle Code. The city is required to evaluate its speeds every 7 years, and this occurs through an engineering and traffic survey. We did this with using Rick Engineering as our traffic consultant to do this work. The Vehicle Code requires primarily that the speeds be set at about, after we measure all the vehicles, at what 85% of the people are driving at, or the 85th percentile as it's commonly known. There's a few other conditions that we look at, such as accident history, unseen conditions, visibility, things of that nature, which can contribute to our recommendations as to the speed limits. The traffic survey checked 120 individual roadway segments. We are recommending that we stick with the same speed limits as currently, except for 13 different road segments. 11 of those road segments are 5-mile-an-hour decreases, and 2 of those segments would be 5-mile-an-hour increases, and that's detailed in Table 1 in the staff report. I'd like to take this time just to introduce our traffic engineering manager, Doug Anderson, and staff is available for any questions that you may have, or we could walk through any of the changes that you may desire to talk about.
Public. Is there any from the public request to speak?
We received no requests.
Well, at this time, I'll take a motion.
All right, this is another state mandate. In my opinion, of the 85th percentile is well known, so I won't repeat it. But on the good news, after all these years, this is the first time we've been able to decrease speed. And do it on 11 segments is great, particularly on these particular segments. And so I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Recommendation.
Excuse me, Councilman Herzog, is that a mandate that you like then?
No.
I'll call a vote.
Aye.
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 Agenda item 10, legislative and regulatory matters, submitted by City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, at your last meeting, the council had requested additional information relative to 2 Senate bills, which we have provided to the council with staff's initial analysis. Our recommendation is to take a watch position on both of these bills. We'd be glad to answer any questions council might have.
Madam Clerk, has there been any requests from the public to speak?
No, Your Honor.
Anybody from the colleagues?
I'll go after him.
Okay.
Sorry. I just have a request from staff. I noticed in our report that typically it'll state what the League of Cities position is, whether they're taking a position. as I can see from the warrant register, we're paying for both the League of Cities as well as ACCOC, and I'd like to see what position they have since we're paying for their service. I don't know if they commonly take positions on all issues, but if possible, if we could get that information included, just so that I have an idea of what their position is as well, I'd appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor, certainly we can do that. If they've taken a position or some advice, we'll provide that as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I would just indicate, I mean, I guess I don't have a problem taking a watch position at this time, but I can tell you certainly my inclination is to oppose both of these bills. One is a continuation of SB 375, which this council was never happy about. And this is merely, quite frankly, Senate Bill 1 is just a means of trying to advise people into doing it at 375. And then SB 33, there's so many restrictions and more bureaucracy that even though it's supposedly designed to allow supposedly financing of some infrastructure, it's really pretty far off the mark. But that's sort of just where I'm coming from initially, and we'll see where the bills go, because they never look like they later on like they look now. So, but my inclination would be to oppose both of these.
Mayor? Okay. As you know, I sit on 2 policy committees for the state, and the League of Cities have lobbyists, and their building is right across the street, so they're over there regularly. This came to my committees, and also many of us discussed it later. On SB 1, as I stated earlier, it does not, it's a bad bill as far as I'm concerned. There was a few people in the committees that said, okay, let's try one of these, and for some cities it may work, but I can't see where it works for my city, because one of the first things that I pick up in SB 1 is, however, the investment authority may not utilize any portion of the funding for administration. So you're going to do all the work, your staff time is dollars, and then you cannot charge anything for it. We have to take that out of our pocket. And with SB 33, the reason I brought both of these bills to you, because they look like they are a fix for redevelopment. They are not fixes for redevelopment. And you do not have any constitutional guarantee that once you get it going, that they cannot come back and take. So for me, watch both of these bills, and when it comes down to voting, we need to vote no, because they both are not accomplishing what they say. And the 33 has so many loopholes in there that we may wind up having to pay them to jump through the loopholes, and still they come take our money. As you know, they do not have deep pockets, and they do not create dollars. The cities are the ones that create them. They only come and rob and steal them. So I'll move for a strong watch on this, and I know Peter's already seconded.
Okay, I'd like.
Although we don't need a vote.
Could we put this down? We can oppose now, can we not? I'll make a motion.
We can oppose.
Yeah.
Are you asking with that opposal to
Yeah,
send a letter up
Yeah.
that we have voted
Oppose.
as a council to oppose it?
Yeah.
That may or may not have any influence, but it will state strongly what we feel.
I feel how Peter does that. Chances are that this is going to end up being something that we will oppose. But it's going to change drastically, probably for the worse. I don't expect it to get any better. But
Yeah, we'll leave it on the watch list.
yeah,
and move
I
on.
think it's best to just leave it on the
Okay.
list right now.
Thank you.
Mayor, but when we say strongly, we mean we want that at the top of your list of watch, because sometimes these bills move very fast and they gut and amend, and it can even have another face on it beside what it is now. So that's why I brought it to us. I want to make sure that it's right on the front line. Check it first when you go to check the bills, and if there's any difference, get it to Bob Dunnick and let him give us a call. And could we just for the heck of it, could we? I'm back over here with the mayor. Could we have it where if we're not in session, that if it changes in a way that our city manager think it's going to really do us some harm, we can put in a opposition, because I know that they're not going to get it fixed. That's the bottom line. I was in those meetings. I was in the briefing. They had a briefing on it, and then all the policy committees had tied into it, and they're across the board on it. Some really think that it's a fix. A lot of them is for one, a lot of them is for 33, and there's a whole bunch of us saying both of them need to go back and be murdered somewhere in one of those committees.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, certainly we could strongly underscore, strongly watch these bills. If they were to be amended in any fashion, be inconsistent with the City Council's adopted legislative platform, we would write a letter of opposition for the mayor's signature immediately, then bring that back to the council for affirmation after the fact.
Well, if it's urgency, do you have to bring it back?
No, but we just let you know what we did.
Okay, but let us know, because we really oppose this.
Do we have to make a motion on that?
No. Just giving directions.
Well, then, on that, I bring it to City Council comments.
City manager first.
City Manager, is there anything to report?
Not this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And Adam Nick, since we're on a record here, so
this will be the first record.
Just when you thought you were out.
Yes, okay.
Just when you thought you were out. I had asked that the city attorney be kind enough to put together some comparison of what sunshine ordinances throughout the state are offering that we are not. And at this point, I understand Mr. Smith has been kind enough to put together what we had asked for.
Mayor and Council, that will be in your Thursday packets. It was completed.
Great. If I could beg of you today, I am pointing it out so that 2 weeks from tonight, you would be kind enough to give us a conceptual presentation so that in hopes that we can discuss it further and or enact some or all of what you recommend 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, with Council's consensus, Mayor and Council, we'd be happy to prepare that.
Do I have consensus?
Yeah. That would something you're working on now, correct?
Yeah, we'll have a written memo, and we could do an oral presentation when you get back together.
Thank you. Okay.
Great. Yeah. And something else that I wanted to, either next time or the following time, I would like to introduce yet something else. I would like to enact an ordinance or a resolution whereby all variances that are issued by the City Hall, rather than them being issued by an individual or by the Planning Commission, I need them to be issued, I want them to be issued in public, under public eye, with enough information to the public ahead of time, and issued by the council. So in short, variances, if and when they are issued publicly, with advanced public notification, with public participation, and by the City Council, by elected officials, not appointed Planning Commission members, and certainly not the staff. I would like to have that discussion, if possible, 2 weeks from tonight. If I could have consensus, gentlemen, lady.
I can give a comment. Number one, for us to take that look at that would be undermining our commissioners that we've put in place to do this, but also it would be undermining our staff, and it would also add another layer of delay. We do not meet every week, and we have a lot of development getting ready to go on, and when these variations come up, if you're trying to expedite it and we need to tweak something, we can tweak it, and we can give that order to that direction to the city manager and have him to tweak that. But as far as having it all come before us, like for myself, I did planning for the county under the Saddleback Area Council for years before we were ever a city. So I understand variance, but I don't know if everyone up here has been trained on variance, and I would not like for us to just be doing variance without that. And it is, and it is aired by the public because it's at the Planning Commission, and public is allowed to attend, and whomever is asking for that variance. So I'm trying to figure out what are you trying to accomplish, because it seems to be counterproductive to what already is the actual functioning and transparency of a council.
May I respond?
Sure. If the mayor says.
May I respond? I gotta walk a fine line.
You better.
Some wise man told me a short while ago, that governments in America do not turn on a dime, because processes are often more important than the product. The more I think about that statement, the more I realize why this country is as great of a country as it is, because processes often are more important than products. As such, things take longer than they would elsewhere, and I appreciate that. I can't help but be frustrated, though. What I was referring to, again, I'll walk a fine line here. You're not correct, ma'am, when you say that it goes to the Planning Commission. Some of them do. Some of them are issued without this council, without even the Planning Commission knowing. I came before the previous council at that podium on June 1 and brought up a matter and talked about a variance that had been issued, and no council member was aware of it. In fact, nobody here acknowledged it. That was June 1, 2010. That variance had been issued on May 11th, 3 weeks earlier. My right of appeal of that variance as a member of the public ran out 15 days later on May 26th. I did not even become aware of it until early June. So once we issue a variance and we issue it in secret, and we let the 15 days start and expire, and then public gets to know about it when they have no right of appeal, something wrong with that picture. When I come here before the Mayor Herzog at the time, he did not know anything about it, neither did any of the 4 other council members. I want to reverse that. I want people to know what concessions this City Hall is giving to whom.
All right, do we get a consensus?
Well, you need to go to the city attorney trying to get your attention.
I just didn't want you to pre-debate it, but talk about whether it's a good idea to agendize it.
I have to agree with the Mayor Pro Tem. What problem are we trying to solve? I mean, you use the word variances. Like, which ones are you talking about? I mean, are you going to, go after every single one of them? I mean, what are we talking about? And, quite frankly, the processes you described are actually laid out in our city ordinances. So now you're talking about amending city ordinances as well. Additionally, in those ordinances, it indicates that when the right of appeal start and stop and other sundry things. So there's a whole host of issues here. And, quite frankly, at this juncture, to me it is kind of hopelessly vague to set something on an agenda with the description you've provided. If there's some further detail or something you can provide, that's great. But, right now, I mean, to say we want to have variances only done by the City Council, that's, wow. We've got a whole series of code sections we would have to go through and a whole series of issues. So I'm not inclined to have this agendized at this time. If there's some additional information somewhere along the line, that's fine, but for now, no.
Councilman Robinson.
Well, it seems to me like we're actually getting too close to the line of debating. So, I don't have a problem talking about it because I think that we're getting too close to doing that already. But I don't feel comfortable taking any action yet, but if
I just wanted the agenda.
to have the discussion, so there's something.
I just
done.
wanted on the agenda
I'm fine
so we
with
can
that.
discuss it.
I'm fine with that.
All right, so it is agendized for next time.
We're looking for the third nod.
There is only two needed, sir.
Excuse me, I heard you say agenda next time, and one of the things that we had cleared up earlier
We did.
is that we need to give,
Put it on the city
you're
manager.
taking the authority that we have put in our city manager away from him. He knows how heavy that schedule is, and he has to work these things in. He's still got a list of things that were given that we haven't got a chance to get to, and you're going to overpack our staff with these different things.
That was not the intention, ma'am. Let's not get there.
Well, then we
Mr.
agree-
Dunick, whenever you
we-
feel like
we
it, you
agree
can do
we
it, sir.
put a time on it. Is that okay?
Whatever the council desires is always okay with me.
Thank you, Mr. Dunick.
Good, keep that paycheck coming.
Okay,
Okay, Mayor?
Councilman Robinson.
I'll be quick. Had the pleasure of attending the grand opening of Slater's 50/50, and I'm excited about the opportunity for that restaurant in that location, which seems to be a tough one, and I know they have quite the cult following, so I really hope that it's extremely successful. I was doing double duty that day. My wife was attending a funeral up in the Bay Area, so I had my 15-month-old with me, so it was quite an ordeal, but he enjoyed some little pieces of the burger too, so but that's it. So great new restaurant in town. I encourage everyone to give it a try.
Councilwoman McCullough. Or Mayor Pro Tem.
No, you didn't- yeah.
I got Adam Nick Robinson.
Okay. Oh,
Mayor
Peter
Pro
didn't say
Tem.
anything, huh? Oh, good. Let me go down here right quick. Southern California Associate of Government, I'm doing my, what is it, AB 1234. Southern California Associate of Government, they had the nuclear plant. I also got an update from Roscoe, my contact, one of my contacts, and there are several groups, including Marilyn Diddy from Agewell, that is a part of the group. He mentioned her name several times, so I thought I better let you know. And several others, they have appealed to the seniors they're going to have another meeting in April, and then in May will be another meeting of information for the public, and in May will be the final decision if the NRCA let them turn on Generator 2. The other two generators is offline, and as you know, that the Newport, the Huntington Beach plant has been sold. It will not be coming back online. The new owners is not going to let us have any use of that, and they haven't gotten any lines in yet. They're attempting to stop brownouts for for this summer. I attended the ACCOC. What was that one that we attended? At the A's.
New councilman training.
New mayor and council. No, I didn't go to that. I went to the one
You
at
went to the reception.
I went to the reception, so I'm reporting that. And I went to the Senior Citizen Advisory Council. They had a very good speaker there, and also the Housing Transportation Senior. I'm giving that one instead because the OTCA one was off the hook. It was extremely good. They gave me these little folders for our seniors, and they even give them a one-day free pass and a whole litany of information, which I'm going to turn over one to. I seen you perk up. I asked, and if you want some more to give out, they will give. I asked that, so I'll give you this so you'll have the information. And also, I attended League of California City Orange County Division, their boot camp. I went to some of everybody's boot camp, and I received this book, a lot smaller than the BBK one, and it was brief. They had a lot of, just picking at him, they had a lot of other things there, but one of the things is I did ask about Nick Sunshine, and they had information on building. We had excellent speakers. I had ran into some of the speakers on other occasions, and these were exceptionally well. I had some pleasure things. I was so glad the mayor was out of town because I got a chance to do some of the things that the mayor do for him, and I loved it. I attended for some of you may not know, but for the first time, the second time in history, the last time was many, many years ago, the Indian Nation has an all-women's council, and I was able to attend that, and hopefully we can get them some certificates down there. I'm looking for the thing. I can't remember the name of it, but because I don't have my paper here. And it was very, very good. That was Saturday. I was down in San Juan, and all the different tribal people from all over, they came. It was very well attended. Good music, good culture, good learning, and teaching of other cultures. And then I left that meeting and I went to Westminster, and for the Asian Pacific Islanders Chinese Lunar New Year, and learned Chin Chin Chin. It's 444. They're teaching us some. That's the only one that I remember. And all the Asians, all the different blends of Asians, whether they were Vietnamese or Korean or whatever, they were there. The place every year they have it is packed out. You can't even. They always sell out and packed out, and no fire marshal can come, as they'd have to shut it down. And they always teach some of the culture. That was really good. So I got a chance to represent our city in both of those. And one thing is, this is our last meeting for this month. And as some of you know, this is Black History Month, February. And I'd like to read, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to read, because I go to all different types of culture things, Russians, Germans, all different Americans, to learn the diversity of our beautiful country, is I was in a music class once, a culture music class, and we had to write something, and I wrote this then. It was been several years ago, and every so often I'll read it. And I think this is very appropriate with me going to these two cultures, and this is the last day we'll meet on Black History. And the name of it is, What is Culture to Me? Culture is a thumbprint of my community, the moral and religious tapestry of our value system, that from the very basic fiber of what I believe, how I act, and how I value others and myself, who I have been, who I am, and who I will become. My culture teaches me what, when, where, and how to interact with other cultures and mankind. The very substance of me is the beauty of the reds, the purples, the yellows, the oranges, the greens, the blues, the blacks, the browns, and all the tapestry of my culture expresses love. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you for showing up down at the Indian Nation down there for me. I, too, attended the ACCOC at Anaheim Stadium last week, Thursday and Friday, and was at the ribbon cutting for Slater's 50/50. What a cult following. Over 1,000 people showed up on their first day to receive hamburgers there, and it was quite the crowd. And so that's going to be a destination. Hopefully that will bring some traffic into that Big Five shopping center. So I have nothing further. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rain and drive safe.